Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined.
Yo, what's happening, guys? How's everyone doing today? I hope everyone's having a good day. Yeah, I mean, we were looking at a potential dump yesterday, which is why we didn't get into any longs in the Telegram group. We're going to go over a lot of coins today because I am expecting a potential bounce from these levels. You can see there is, I mean, this is on the, what is this, right? It's on the weekly time frame, guys. A lot of coins are still down 20%, which is kind of crazy. So I want to go over like the buy zones for today, for potential spot and for future trades. And I also want to go over, you know, what we're looking at with the liquidation heat map as well. So yeah, thanks so much for joining in, guys. Hope everyone's doing well. Let's chat about the market today. We're going to start off with Bitcoin. We won't go too in depth because I want to focus on all the altcoins. But I think it's always good to just start off with, you know, Bitcoin in the beginning, just so we get a general understanding of like the current state of the market. All right. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. Okay. Let's get into it. All right. So this is kind of my thoughts for Bitcoin here, guys. So basically, can you see how Bitcoin's kind of just, you know, consolidating above this fair value gap, right? So basically, when this was July, so the 10th of July, so we had that push up, right? And what actually happens is price creates this gap in the market where, you know, some orders that weren't potentially filled got, you know, need to get filled. So what tends to happen when you see a massive explosive move, you'll start to see price come all the way back down and fill these levels for continuation to the upside, right? So when you're looking at this chart right now for Bitcoin, you know, I'm expecting a bounce from this level. You know, I don't know when it's going to happen, like, but I do think it's going to bounce from this level. I don't think we're going to take out these lows at 1111. That would be very interesting. Okay, if we do somehow take out those lows, then, you know, you would have to look at lower targets. But for now, we are above support, right? So I'm looking at a potential bounce from the zone for continuation. I'm not going to enter a long based on the zone though. I would have to wait for lower time frame confirmations, which we'll go over just now. But if you look at the lower time frame, like the 1 hour time frame, you can see for Bitcoin, you know, I do want to start seeing price get above like this trend line over here, guys. You can see there's a massive downward sloping trend line, and, you know, price is holding this level. You can see multiple candle closes respecting this level here, guys. So I want to see price get above this level here. I want to see price get above the support and also above this trend, and then we look for this continuation long. So this would be more of like a breakout trade for Bitcoin to send it back to like 123k. But in the short term, you know, like, can we take a long off this level? Probably not. I wouldn't personally. But, you know, potentially we could look at like a trend line breakout. I think a lot of people would be looking at something like this on the 15-minute time frame. We do have some type of trend here, so you could look for price to close above this fair value gap over here on the lower time frames, right? You want to wait for something like this, right? You can see there's a whole bunch of support here as well. Okay, so what I like to combine with my trend lines normally, right? Because if you get a break of trend over here, but we're still not closing, you know, above the highs, then how is this going to be a valid break of trend? So what I like to do is I like to confirm a break of trend with, you know, like a higher high or a higher low, as well as like a clean breakthrough, like a bearish fair value gap or a bullish fair value gap, depending on if you're looking for sells or if you're looking for buys. But in this scenario, we have a bearish gap over here that has been filled once, but I want to see price get above that level. Once we start getting above this, let's actually put it here. Around about 114,767. Once we start getting above that level over there, then we can consider going longs for the day, right? The problem is, like, how price is situated right now is not looking great. We can't even close above this previous high over here. You know, we are trying to form a bit of a higher low structure right now, but we have not yet broken this previous high over here, and we are still below this bearish fair value gap with still below support over here. I mean, it's a massive resistance / support. So Bitcoin for me right now, can we take a trade? Of course, not for me. you know, we are below so many key levels here, so I just can't really take a trade on Bitcoin right now. Does that make sense? So what you want to do is you just want to wait for price to close above this level here on the 50-minute time frame, 104,700, around about that level. And then you would want to see price obviously close firmly above here, get a retest of this level somewhere, and then you look for continuation longs to the upside. Okay. Yeah, I don't know about a pump, but we'll see. We'll see if we do get a pump. But this is something that I'm looking at for Bitcoin, guys. So I do think that Bitcoin could potentially hold this level today. We'll see. Okay. But I want to chat about a whole bunch of other tokens right now, because you know there's a lot of coins that are in potential zones. So I do want to have a look at Pepe here, guys. So what I'm waiting for here is for Pepe. Okay. So basically, it's a similar setup, but Pepe, guys, remember when Pepe got that massive breakout the other day? I mean, this was not the other day, but this was July 9th. I think we were live when we were speaking about this. But essentially, we got that breakout. We pumped all the way up, but now we came all the way back down. We literally came all the way back down to the support. Yeah. So what can we do from this, this type of information? Well, we can look for a potential break of trend, or we could look for price to close above internal range support / resistance or fair value gap within this smaller range here, and then we can look for continuation to this trend and then potentially hold this for the breakout of the trend, right? So that's kind of what I want to look at, because we are holding the support. This is a pretty much confirmed double bottom over here for Pepe. So I am looking at a potential long, and this will be taken on the 1 hour time frame. So basically you can see how essentially we have this bearish gap over here. Price is also a massive support, guys. Massive support. So fair value gaps are basically just support and resistance if you actually look at that. But essentially, we need to start getting above this level here. We get above this level here, we could also look for a break of trend as well, and then we can play the long. You know what I mean? So that is going to be the trade for Pepe today. Hopefully, if we could get that would be amazing. Altcoin signals. My bad. So this is pretty much a signal that I'm going to take today if we do obviously get this trade, right? But it's all about, the problem is right now, the reason why I didn't trade yesterday, because I wasn't sure if we were going to go up, right? And the trades that we were looking for yesterday just didn't close above our levels, which means we were going to go down, right? So, but essentially, this is what I'm looking at. So Pepe needs to close above 0.401039. Once we close above that level, then we look for continuation longs. We can actually put our stop loss just below this previous low to the left over here. You want to put your stops below that low, and then you're looking to target this trend line, and then potentially look to target these highs to the left hand side over here. Okay. But this is all waiting for that 1 hour candle to close bullish above this level. Does that make sense? Okay. Until then, we are still bearish in a way, but we didn't break these lows yesterday, which is fine, which is good. Because the problem is, if we broke, let's just say price closed below this level over here. Let's just say we closed bearish below here, and then we came up and retest. I wouldn't even look for longs right now, right? Because that confirms structure has broken. But right now, we are still holding bullish, structure, right? We're still holding support. So this long makes it valid, right? It would only not be valid if we broke the lows. You know what I mean? So I'm confident potentially we can get a setup here for Pepe. So that is something I'm looking at for Pepe. So the whole thing is you want to actually hold lows. You can wick through them, but if you start closing like a candle that closes below this wick over here, right? So important, guys. Understanding this is so important. If we close below this wick over here, that is confirming that structure is telling us that price wants to come down. But let's just say we just wick into this low, but we don't actually break it, and then we pump and close above here, then I'm taking the long, right? Alternatively, you can't take it if we break the low. Okay. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, okay. Nico says it makes sense. Okay, perfect. So Pepe, we will be waiting for that. I do think that we could get it today. Because we are holding the lows here, and bullish structure is kind of holding. So Pepe is looking good. That's my first pick for the day. SWE is also on my radar as well. SWE was a strange one because basically what happened yesterday, we had a breakout. I was looking for long on this breakout over here. So if you look at the 15 minute, it looks way better. But essentially we had a trend line breakout over here. We broke above this massive level over here. Then what actually happened, we came back, retested, and then we had a push higher, right? And then what actually happened was, we did form lower highs and came lower. But what I'm looking at for today, I still think that SWE could bounce from this level here, guys. Because if you do look at the daily time frame for SWE, you can see that, okay, this was the buy zone. But essentially, we are still holding this previous daily open, right? So as long as we still hold that level, and on the 4-hour time frame, we're still holding this level here, guys. So price is trying to start creating a high-low structure for SWE, and then potentially we could just play the breakout for the day, right? So what I'll do is I'll just remove all of this, just so we have a cleaner chart, so you guys can understand what exactly is happening. But I'll probably just play one of these. Essentially, I want to see price get back above support as well, right? Because the whole problem right now is we are still trading below key levels, right? How do we take a long when we are trading in such a key level right over here, right? Can you see how price respects these levels that I'm drawing in? I'm not just drawing in random levels here, guys, because look, when price closes below this level here, what actually happens? Price tends to come down, right? When price closes above this level, we tend to move up, right? When price closes below this level, we tend to move down, right? So what you want to see is you want to see price get above this level plus above the trend line. Then we look for longs, right? So it's all about getting the candles to close, and that's my whole thing, right? If I don't see a candle close above my key levels, I'm just not going to take the trade, because there's no point, because price will just be getting rejected, right? The whole point of taking a trade for me is I need to get price closing above my key levels in order for me to actually look for those continuations, because right now price is still below a key resistance, right? So if you want to long into a resistance, okay, cool, but then you could easily get rejected, right? So I'd rather wait for the resistance to get broken, then we retest that level again. We have a bit more chances of making that trade happen and actually making the trade come into play. All right, I'm thinking of long Altcoin. Let's have a look. Wait for New York's open to make anything. Yeah, I do agree with that as well. We're just going over like our potential setups for New York session, because the nice thing about doing your charts early in the morning, right, is the fact that you have the whole day for it to play out in a way, right? So London session might chop around. You got Asian session in the morning that had that. Asian session always goes crazy somehow, but you just, whatever happens throughout the day, just mark out your charts, wait for whatever happens to happen on your chart, and then take the trade, right? You don't want to just chase it, right? We don't chase trades on this channel, right? So we wait patiently for our levels to close above. So SWE, you want to see price. I will go over WCOIN in just a second, but I want to see how price reacts over here. We look for continuation longs. We get above key resistance over here, 3.4648. Put that on your chart. Put some alerts here, and then we can get to the next setup. Okay, so that's SWE, guys. I still think, I don't really want to take sells, guys. We're at support pretty much. This range of here, I'd rather take buys in this type of market to play the reversal here, right? So let's have a look at WorldCoin, right? Let's have a look at WorldCoin. 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 I mean, this was, yeah, I was looking at, so I bought spots on WorldCoin. It's so frustrating, like this token. I was actually, so basically when price was sitting at the support, I was telling, okay guys, we're gonna buy spots. I don't know, I was just telling a few people this. I don't know if it was in my live stream, but I remember sending out this update and I did actually buy. So then price, moved up around about 46% from this level, okay? But price has pretty much come all the way back down, I'll be honest. So, I mean, if you did buy from this level over here, you're pretty much only up now like 14%, where, you could have been up 70% and even selling at a 50%. So it's just crazy to see, like, some of these tokens are just getting absolutely rinsed, right? So anyway, but if we look at this chart on the the daily time frame, we can see right now it's kind of just stuck between this bullish gap. This is kind of still bullish in a way, because the reason why I say that is, so basically you can see our price, price was trading below these swing lows over here. Sorry, these swing highs over here. And then what actually happened, we had a price to push past that level. We are coming back down to like this bullish fair value gap over here. Okay, so basically, let me just draw it in so you can see it better. Let's put a strong magnet there, and then what you can see over here will give you a lot more context of what I'm talking about, right? So prices come back down to this bullish fair value gap on the daily time frame, bear in mind, right? So daily fair value gaps get respected quite hard, right? So essentially, as long as price does stay above the support of here, we could play a long off this level, right? Essentially, right? Because you can see how, I mean, it has been super choppy, but this is the lowest point that price could potentially go in order for support to be broken. Does that make sense, right? So this is the lowest point in order for support to be broken. Otherwise, we just get a massive dump, right? So the only option you really have here is to play a long off this level, right? If you were to look at a long, right? So then I'm not saying we're going to take the long right now, but I'm saying this is how you should think, right? So like if you look at the daily time frame, there's nothing else you could do here because we are in a bearish gap, I mean a bullish fair value gap that has been respected and hasn't closed below. We can still hold this level as long as we stay within this range, right? So let's go straight to the lower time frames here, to the 1 hour and the 15-minute time frame, to see what we can potentially do here in order to capitalize on longs, right? Because like I said, this is the only play we have right now, right? We can't take shorts at this level. Why would we take shorts at this level when price is clearly showing us that we are getting a rejection and we are holding support over here, right? So the whole thing right now is to look at, okay, well, if we're looking at longs right now, well then what can we look for? Okay, so that's what you should ask yourself. Well, what I would look for is, okay, as you can see, price is still holding support, right? We are forming a bit of a high-low structure, a bit of a double bottom, as one would say. And price did actually bounce firmly off this level, showing buying pressure. But the problem is we are still below key resistance on the 1 hour time frame, right? If you look at this on the 1 hour time frame, price did actually not break above this level here, which is kind of crazy. Let's zoom in here, okay? So can you see how price couldn't close below these wicks over here, which is a problem? Let me just point this out. So this is your wicks. Price could not close above that level. If we look on the 5 minute, you'll start to see how this kind of correlates, right? Have a look at the 5 minute time frame. Can you see how important it is? How important it is to start closing higher time frames above these levels? Because if we don't close the 1 hour time frame above this level, well then the 5 minute time frames and the lower time frames are clearly going to get rejected, and we can't take an entry, right? So the higher time frames are the ones that you want to see price close above in order for us to start looking at the lower time frames for entries, right? So my whole thing is, okay, so we clearly know that we at support. We had a daily fair value bullish fair value gap support. We had a daily support. We had a 4 hour support. We've created like a double bottom on the 15/1 hour time frame. 5 minute highs have been respected. The only thing that we can do right now is essentially take out this level over here. Okay, this is the only thing that can happen in order for us to take longs today, guys. I'll be honest with you. We take out this level, we look for longs straight away, right? I would take the long off this level back up to the bullish fair value gap high. Beautiful. Okay, does that make sense? Does that make sense? Because and then you would actually put your stop loss just below this low over here, because if price were to invalidate these lows, then it would just get absolutely rinsed, right? So the game plan today is more to just look at longs than shorts, because most tokens are at their pretty much their buy zones, right? So WorldCoin looking absolutely juicy, I'll be honest with you. So I hope that makes sense. So first things first, we had a massive daily bullish fair value gap. This is also a daily resistance to the right hand side of here. Check how price has been respected that level. 4 hour time frame, you can see price is clearly forming a double bottom. On the 1 hour time frame as well, clearly forming a double bottom. So just wait for price to close above 954, and then we play the long. Okay, beautiful. So that's WorldCoin. Alright, I woke up literally 15 minutes late for today's ETH pump. I'm thinking to go long on WorldCoin. Yeah, so that's the thing with WorldCoin, right? This is the trade. Is everything pumping? Yeah, so this was my trade from yesterday. I was actually waiting for this. Like, it's very frustrating. So basically, I mean, this was the Ethereum setup. So can you see our price literally we were looking at it, right? We were looking at price breaking above this level and then longs, and then price came all the way back down to this level, this 3564 level. I was actually looking to play the long off this level, but this happened late last night, throughout this morning. Yeah, I mean, we could have played the long if I woke up a little bit earlier. But let's have a look at this at Ethereum here. Maybe I think it's looking at a breakout. Yeah, so I mean, this is looking kind of clean. I'll be honest, Ethereum's kind of looking good today. So we just got a breakout here, guys. So basically, a 15-minute breakout has occurred here for Ethereum. Essentially, you know, as long as price holds this level over here, we sorted, right? We spoke about this yesterday in the analysis in the Telegram community. But essentially, guys, as long as Ethereum holds this gap over here, we should be cruising, right? We should be cruising. So what that means is we should see price continue higher to test like the liquidity levels a little bit above us, right? So we have liquidity sitting at this high over here, and then we have liquidity sitting at this high over here as well. Okay, so yeah, that's something to look at for Ethereum. But for me, am I going to play the long right now? You know, not really. I'm not going to play this long. I do think that it's yeah, we'll just have to wait for the 30-minute time frame to closure. Although it's looking super juicy on this retest over here, you know, you could look at a potential long setup just back up to these highs to play this move over here. Stop loss. The problem is though, like your stop loss technically has to be below this low, so the risk to reward is just not great. The 1.5, because if you put it below this low over here, it's like a 1.46, 1.5. So yeah. Oh, is Trump speaking today as well? I didn't even realize that. I knew there was news, but where's he speaking? All those speeches tend to lead to dumps. Yeah, well, I mean, it's not all the time. It's just there's been a whole bunch of tariffs that he's been imposing, and that's been obviously affecting the market recently. So I'm not too sure when he's speaking. So you said it's at 4 p.m., right? 4 p.m. EST. All right, so we'll come back to that, but I'll look at that. But yeah, for Ethereum, I mean, basically, you know, price needs to hold this level here. You could look at it long, but the problem is for me, it's just like the stop loss is too big here. I don't like the stops. I mean, you could probably just put your stops below here, but the problem is you would have to put it below this bullish gap. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Okay. Oh wait, let me just. Okay, so I mean, I'm not going to play this long right now. I do think that it could play out, but yeah, personally, just not going to play it. I'd rather wait for the WorldCoin setup. So wait for this WorldCoin setup, and then I'd wait for SWE as well. I think SWE is going to play out beautifully today. So wait for 3.4648. It's always important for me to wait for these candles to close above or below key levels, guys. I'd rather take the risk of getting a worse entry than take the risk of having a 50-50 chance, right? Litecoin, I mean, Litecoin already hit all our targets. Do you remember how we were saying that price? Yeah, I mean, we could even look for a potential long off this level over here. This is a previously swing high as well. Have you seen our price broke structure to the upside, came back down, retesting this level here? You know, potentially looking at a move to the upside. It actually is coming back down to the 0.5% level as well, which is kind of crazy. If you draw the Fibonacci, so you know, this is kind of interesting for Litecoin, I'll be honest with you. So let's run it down. Let's go into the lower time frames here. So if we have a look at the 1 hour time frame, we've literally come down, tapped into that 0.5 level. Yeah, it's just getting a little bit rejected right now, but I'll probably play a breakout here. I'd wait for price to close above this gap over here. Sorry, this level over here. Okay. So I would wait for something like that, because right now we can't really play any position. We need to see price, you know, start closing and creating highs again. You know, so the whole thing right now, price is still in this bearish little move. So what needs to happen is price needs to hold this level, because we know that this is obviously Litecoin's really bullish right now, right? and it should hold this 116 level. So in order for longs to be valid, we need to start getting above these levels here, and then we can play the longs back up to the 122 level. Okay, because the problem is right now, if you play the long off this level here, we're longing straight into resistance. It's the same thing, right? So I like to wait for confirmation first, and then your stop loss will just be below this level over here. So your risk to reward is a 1:4. Okay, I know some people don't use risk to reward or anything like that, but it just gives you an idea of like where price may go compared to where your stop loss is. Okay, so I like to always have a higher reward than risk, of course, because it gives you more leeway, and obviously you won't lose that much compared to what you're gaining. So that's the whole point of it. All right, so that's that. Ton got absolutely smoked. I don't know what happened to Ton, but Ton got absolutely rinsed over the last couple of days compared to most other tokens. I remember when price was pumping a little bit yesterday for Bitcoin, Ton was getting absolutely wrecked. So not too sure what's happening with Ton. I don't really want to look at it, to be honest, because it means if it's not performing well compared to the rest of the market, then when it pumps, it's not going to do that much. You can see we've already broken this previous low as well, which is terrible, right? So we've just broken this level, which is showing that price is shifting bearish. I just don't like it. I would not look at Ton, I'll be honest with you. So let's have a look at some other tokens. If you guys did just join, welcome to the YouTube. Hope you guys are doing well. If you want to just comment down below on any coins that you want to go over, we want to jump through quite a lot of tokens there. A lot of tokens are in key levels that we obviously need to wait for, like breakouts and stuff like that, which is why we want to go over it, because like GK said, Trump is speaking today, so we want to look at the key levels where we might get reactions from, right? That's the whole point. Trading is all about getting a reaction from like a key level, right? So that set in mind, right, I just want to quickly show you guys the Telegram group before we jump in. So if you guys do want to join, we do have a Telegram group where we do post signals. So yesterday I did post a short over here. It was a 2-day good. It was an MKR short, and it was actually a pity because we hit TP1, we came back, hit break even, and then it absolutely dumped after that. But yeah, I do post setups over here. Andy and Devold also post Bitcoin setups over here, right? And then I post all the analysis over here. So if you guys do want to join the Telegram group, just make sure you join with the link in my description. And yeah, pretty much that's it. We also have some general crypto chat for you guys to obviously look at. So yeah, I'll appreciate if you guys do join this. But anyway, let's get straight back into the chart. So make sure you guys do comment the coins down below, because maybe I'm missing a couple that could be exploding. We could even come here and have a look here. SPX is pumping. Let's have a look at SPX quickly. Let's have a look at SPX quickly. Trump coin. Yeah, we could do Trump actually. We'll do Trump as well. Let's do Trump because maybe it could potentially pump as well today. Alright, so let's have a look at SPX. I mean, I love SPX. The chart is beautiful. I think it's done super well. This is the weekly time frame. And basically, like, if we do look at this chart on the weekly time frame, we can see that, okay, well, price is still holding this. Wait, I just need to turn that off. That was annoying. Price is still holding this level over here, guys, on the weekly time frame, which is kind of crazy. Okay, so SPX is still holding weekly resistance, which is very, very interesting. Okay, so keep that in mind, right? So we know that this is a weekly support, right? When price closes below this level, what tends to happen? We get a dump, right? When price closes above here, what tends to happen? We tend to see price move higher, right? So what we would want to do is we would want to see price hold this level. You can see multiple times, guys. SPX, have a look at this. This is actually kind of crazy. We could look at the setup here. Price is holding multiple times at this level, right? Multiple times, support and resistance, right? What normally happens when you have resistance, price breaks through resistance, it flips into support, right? So what we should look at right now for SPX is, okay, well, on the daily time frame, we are holding support. On the weekly, we're holding, right? We go down to the 4-hour time frame. We look at the chart, be like, okay, cool. So the 4-hour time frame, we're starting to create higher low structure over here. We're starting to get a bit of a push right now. we are currently below a key resistance. Okay, so that's something to note. Can you look to the left over here? This is a massive support zone over here. Okay, massive support zone, massive resistance zone as well over here. So this level over here is a key level, right? So what needs to happen in order for me to actually look for a long position? Well, price needs to get above that level, right? We need to see price start getting above these levels in order for price to continue higher. Okay, so there is a bearish fair value gap over here. You can extend it, and you can see how this correlates perfectly with how these candles are closing. So you can see how this candle over here did not actually close above this level at all, literally at all. We haven't closed above this level here at all. We've respected this level when we are closing above it. You can see when price did close above this level over here. Have a look over here. What happened? We retest and we look for the longs, right? Then what actually happens, comes back down, doesn't even close below this level, and then we get a push higher, right? Same thing, closes respecting. So the game plan for the day is, wow, okay, well, let's just wait for price to close above the level and then take the longs. Very, very simple, right? But that's how I do to trade. You want to get above this level here for SPX, and then you want to see price continue higher here. You want to be looking to take out the liquidity to the upside, at these highs, yeah. Okay, and then your stop loss would just be below this previous low over here. It's quite a big trade. It's a 32% move, and your stop loss is like 11%. So you would have to go super low leverage, like a 2x leverage or something like that. Does that make sense? Or like a spot buy, for instance. Okay. I reckon Trump will pump his own bags. Yeah, probably. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at for SPX. So I'm gonna put an alert there so to let the community know a little bit later. But you guys should be all putting alerts as well on your own charts, just so you understand what we're looking at for the day. Right, so let's run through Trump. I think we are getting a bit of a pump now, aren't we? No, a bit of a fake out slash. Let's have a look. So SU, I'm still waiting for this one. I think this one will play out. It got a bit over smacked, but we'll have a look at that later. Right now, nothing we can really do. Okay, there's nothing really we can do right now other than just wait. Trump is at $8, okay? I haven't looked at Trump in over a couple months, but Trump is at $8 right now, okay? So, remember when I was looking at Trump back here, I think I bought Trump like, I got smoked in this token, I'll be honest. So anyway, let's have a look at this over here. We have this massive level sitting right over here, okay? This is obviously your key support for Trump. If we break this level, then you're absolutely cooked. We do have this massive trend line over here. That price is obviously getting respected. Trump right now is wait, hold on, I'm getting a phone call. Alright, sorry about that. I was just getting a phone call. But what I'm looking at, so Trump right now is, okay, well, we are at support. Okay, we are at support on the daily time frame. We are holding this level. We did get a massive move to the upside, and then we came all the way back down, broke this previous low. Price respected this previous low as resistance. You can see that, which is quite interesting. Can you see how that happened, right? So price literally came back up, respected this low as resistance, and then we need to see something like that, right? So what I would want to see is I would want to see like a breakout of this like $9 level. Okay, that's the only way I could really go long for Trump, because the problem is we are still below this key level. Because if I go down on like the 1 hour time frame and the 30-minute time frame, this level would act as a lower time frame resistance / support. But this is also your daily resistance as well. So you would need to see price start closing above that level to actually confirm that price potentially can go higher from here. Okay. Not going to really go much too in depth with Trump, but obviously if we do get a breakout of this trend line, you could look at it at long all the way back up to like these highs, So, but for internal range status, in terms of like looking for a trade, in terms of like this internal structure, well then you would have to wait for like the $9 mark to be broken, and then you could look for a long just up to this level here. Yeah, but yeah, I just don't really see it right now unless we start closing above the $9 mark. Okay. Hey, bud, how you doing? Would you buy SWE for spot or are we going lower? Thank you. What's going on? ER80. Let's have a look. The best thing is to have a look. The best thing to do is to have a look. Bum, bum, bum. Yo. Okay, well, let's just remove everything here. All right, we're gonna have a look at SEI, and then I'll go over PopCat as well. But yeah, let's have a look at this on the weekly time frame. Very, very interesting stuff here. Okay, so on the weekly time frame, we can see, okay, first of all, price is in an uptrend right now. In terms of we are breaking key levels, right? So we have this type of structure where we are finding these higher highs and higher lows, right? We are actually in a bit of a uptrend right now, okay? But the problem is we need to hold this low. So if we look at the daily time frame, we'll just quickly go back to the daily. If we look at the daily time frame, you can see how price has respected these lows multiple times, right? Multiple times, okay? So in order for this bullish continuation to continue higher, we need to hold this low, which is looking like we are. And we actually did break this previous high over here on the daily time frame. So the bullish structure is kind of still in place, right? We could just wait for a potential breakout of this move over here, which would confirm price to go higher. Okay, so if we do look at the daily time frame, okay, well you can look at price coming back down to retest this level one last time, and then we look for a buy off this level, like a potential SFP or like a breakout to the upside. That could be the play. Or we just look at the lower time frames and we wait for a breakout on the lower time frames, right? So we'll go down to the 4-hour time frame and we'll look at, okay, well, I mean, this was obviously a bit sketchy what was happening over here, but what I'd want to see here is, let's have a look on the 4-hour time frame. So yeah, we didn't hold this level over here, which is something to look at. So the 4-hour time frame is just a bit manipulated in terms of the price action. It just doesn't look that great. So I'd want to go in the lower time frames to see, okay, we obviously, I mean, SEI is kind of a volatile coin. These wicks are sketching me out here. Is this on Binance? It is on Binance, right? Yeah, that's a bit weird. But anyway, what I'd want to look at is, okay, in terms of spot buys, in terms of futures setups, I'd want to wait for something like this. If we can somehow get above this level over here, I would actually wait for price to get above there, okay? So if price could somehow get above this level over here today, it would confirm that, okay, well, price has been holding this level multiple times, right? We have been holding this resistance multiple times. Then what actually happened is we flipped it into support, okay? Then came down. Now we are kind of just flipping in resistance. So we need to start closing back above this level to confirm to retest the highs, okay? So for future's sake, that is the game plan. That is the game plan, right? And that is the only game plan that I could really have right now for SWE. You could look at a potential along to the highs over here, right? And then your stop loss would just be below this bearish fair value gap, right? But the problem is we are below resistance. And then for spot, I still think that SWE is in a good position right over here. I'll be honest with you. There's nothing bearish about this. You can even look at the weekly time frame. You have so much upside potential here once we start getting back above these levels. So to be SEI, sorry, keep saying SWE, but essentially I would look at spot buys now anywhere between these levels of here. I don't think we're going to come back down to these lows. I'll be honest with you. I think that 0.25 or like 0.23, 24 around about these levels is the lowest we can ever go. Yeah. But in terms of futures trade, this is what I'm looking at. The 1 hour time frame to close above this level over here. We can play the long to the upside. Okay. Just to take out these highs over here and potentially this high over here as well. A little bit sketchy though, this token, lots of wicks, but should be fun. Let's have a look at PopCat. I was actually looking at that last week. It was a massive fake out there. So I thought, okay, well, we got price to close above resistance over here. Yeah. We got price to close above. We had that massive daily candle close, and then we got that massive fake out. I think that was when Trump spoke about the tariff situation. And then the whole market kind of just died off from there. But let's have a look at this again. For Popcat, remove everything. A clean chart is better than a messy chart, because you want to reanalyze the current data that we have for this week, right? So first things first, weekly time frame. Beautiful. We are at weekly resistance. A huge level here, guys. I'll be honest, this level is looking super juicy just from this weekly time frame, right? So can you see how price literally closed, like literally respecting this level? So over here we close respecting this. Currently, although it was a massive bearish week, we still somehow close respecting resistance, which is telling us that price can bounce from this level, right? We can get a bounce from this level. Okay, well, we go down to the daily time frame. We can be like, okay, well, the daily time frame, same thing, right? Still holding this level here. We have multiple reactions within this zone. You can see massive wicks over here, huge wicks in this level, right? Support over here. This was just a bit of a fake out to the downside, and then we kind of just formed a bit of a structure to go higher. But in terms of the daily time frame, we do know that this is a potential bounce zone, and the weekly time frame. So what can we do with that information? Well, we can look at potential. Okay, well, if this is the bounce zone, we can see that this is a potential double bottom type of structure. What can potentially happen from these levels? Well, we could get a reaction. It's the same. I think it's like a lot of coins are printing the same type of stuff, guys. So if we do get a trade today, it's you could probably just take it on any token. You know what I mean? Because I'm really looking at the longs today, because most tokens are at support. Obviously, if we do break support, well then we would have to just switch our bias then. But in terms of like me looking at trades today, I'm more looking at longs off the breakouts than looking at longs off these supports over here, because we could easily break down, because structurally it's looking a little bit weak, right? So I'd rather play the long off a breakout confirmed than a long off this current level, if that makes sense, because we could easily come down here, as we have broken this level here, although we did not break this previous low. It's just a little bit sketchy. So I'd rather play this long off this breakout over here, back up to these highs to the left hand side over here, bang, something like that. Okay, we obviously have TPs along the way, but in terms of the trade, like what can we do now? Just nothing really, right? Rather just wait for price to close above this 0.3024 level. Okay, let's have our daily check on grass. Great stuff. You think MOG will break the local high if it pumps? Well, let's have a look. Let's have a look at grass. I mean at MOG, and then we'll go over grass. We should actually look at grass. Actually, let's make that a thing, right? We look at grass every time we go live until it goes to 0. I'm sorry if you're holding grass, but I mean that token was an absolute scam. I'll be honest with you. I grounded that airdrop for so long. I think over like a year and a half, genuinely. Although it's not really grounding anything, but it's just sitting in your browser, but it's taking like CPU every single time, right? So, yeah, I got cooked. Like, I mean, like I invested so much. I sent so many people my links. I told everyone it was gonna be this massive like airdrop, and yeah, it was cooked. It was absolutely, yeah. Anyway, so let's have a look at MOG. I mean, MOG right now. We spoke about MOG. We spoke about MOG having that massive move, right? And then we spoke about, okay, well, price is retracing right now. We are holding this 0.786 retracement, which is quite interesting, to be honest. We are holding this level. Potentially, this is what price is doing over here. You can see we do have a bit of like a lot of support / resistance over here, which is a bit annoying. But in terms of confirmed resistance / support, I would say that this is actually stronger, because we have multiple touches within this level over here. So in order for continuation here for MOG, I think that this is a good spot level for buyers. I'll be honest with you. For MOG, I don't really know too much about the token, but if in terms of technical analysis, I do think that this is a good level to accumulate some potential spot within this level. And the reason why I say that is because a retracement of a 0.786 retracement is quite rare in a way. Like to get a deep retracement like this with a bullish structure, it's giving you an opportunity to jump in. Whereas you've missed this whole move, but if you didn't get in on the breakout over here, what tends to happen? Price tends to always come back down and retest these levels one or another, right? So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what happens here, but this could be a potential area for a move to the upside. I'll be honest with you, for MOG. So keep an eye on this level here. You could look at a long like. I wouldn't play this on a futures trade. It's just super volatile. You're looking at 0.12318 and then E to the -5, right? So it's super volatile token, but you're looking at a 130% move here. I do think that this could play out, guys. I'll be honest with you. So I would look at spots here in terms of futures. I wouldn't trade this thing on a futures contract or anything like that, or even like options or anything like that. I'd rather just trade this with no leverage, or even like maybe just 2% leverage, 2x leverage, something like that. That's a max I would go. But I do think that this is a good buying opportunity for MOG. Okay, I think it's a good buying opportunity for MOG. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Let's have our daily look at grass. Where's grass? I mean, this token, we can look. I don't know if it was Bybit or Binance. Let's have a look. I think we were too bullish on this token because I mean, what even is this token, bro? Like, look at this. Anyway, we like the whole thing was, grass. We were in this range. If you guys remember, I think the people that were obviously watching for a while now, they will know that grass was in this range. We were looking to take a bar to the upside, and then if somehow grass broke above 1.2746, we would play the long to the highs, right? But that didn't happen. We got a breakdown, and then what actually happened the next week, we were looking for like, okay, well, grass kind of holding the structure here. If price were to break above this bearish fair value gap over here, we could play that long because it's also resistance. Then what actually happened? We got a massive dump. I mean, like same thing. Yeah. Do we just? I mean, price is right now forming just a bit of a range right now. Okay, so this is the current level for grass. I mean, we could play a breakout here. I'll be honest with you. It's just this is just a consolidation, right? So what you would want to wait for is for grass, like essentially grass kind of just does what it does, right? It goes sideways for a couple days, couple hours, and then like even over here, this is still sideways action. This is just chop, and then it gets a massive move. So what you could do is you could play the breakout here, I guess. So you could play a price to break above this level. So I'll put an alert there, but I'm also going to play the breakdown as well because I know that this token could get absolutely smacked, and I don't mind trading this token. So I'm going to put an alert to the upside and to the downside. Of course, it's more bearish than bullish, but we could even look for a short at this level for grass. We could look for just a range play over here, and our stop loss would be so tight because we would just have it just above this high over here. We'll put it just above this high over here, and obviously above that high, and we would look to short back down to this level over here. And then, if somehow we just get a constant chop, we could even just look at longing the breakout. I mean the support as well. So I'd be interested in something like this if we were to get something like this, but we'll see. Swell pumping, eh? So this is grass, one of the best tokens in the world right now. Okay, we'll have a look at swell. Oh my god. What happened? I don't even think swell was top 100. Yeah, it's top 200, right? Not even. Illuvium's pumping. I want to go over Illuvium as well. I love that. I used to play that game back in the day. Like, back in the day. I can't believe that token is still around. Where's Swell? Did I miss it? Oh, it's 690. Anyway. I don't know what's happening. They must be selling. Let me have a look quickly.